So, have any of you guys ever in your life gotten sick from food? Has anybody ever, maybe got a stomach ache or, you didn't, did someone just say more than usual? Who said that? Oh, that you get sick all the time from food? Yeah? It's like the worst thing ever, right? What? Oh my gosh, that's the worst. He said he got sick on his birthday from eating. Well, one time I was in high school, okay? One time, surprise. I went to high school, guys, okay? Not really. Anyways, I was in high school, and it was my really good friend JJ's birthday, and he was having this party at his house, and so we were all going to go to this party, and my family was actually out of town, and so I was stoked because my two best friends, Brittany and Haley, were going to spend the night at my house. We were going to go to this party and then come back to my house, spend the night. It was going to be like the best night ever. So we get ready, and we go to JJ's party, and it was at his house. We're just hanging out, and the food shows up, and I didn't know it was for dinner, but I was like, food is good, right? And it was this restaurant I'd never heard of before, and they had all these super yummy looking burritos. They had chips and guacamole, which is my jam. They had salsa. They had mini churros. They had all this stuff. I was like, dang, this looks pretty good. So my friend and I, Haley, we were like, let's split a burrito because they were ginormous, okay? This restaurant was Chipotle, by the way, okay? And so I'd never heard of Chipotle in my life, never had it. And I don't know when Chipotle opened, but this was 6 years ago. So I'd never heard of Chipotle. So we had this burrito. It was so good. We had chips and guacamole, so good. And the night is going on, and we're hanging out at my friend JJ's house. We're playing games. We're watching a movie, all this stuff. And all of a sudden, my stomach starts to hurt so bad. And I was like, I feel awful right now. And I was sweating kind of. And I'm like, okay, what is happening? I was like, I need to go home. I feel so bad. So I turned to my friends. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. I have to go to I need to go home. I feel really bad right now. I was in my head, I was like, I'm either going to poop my pants right now on JJ's couch, or I'm going to puke everywhere, all over everybody. But I need to go home right now. So I told my friend Haley and Brittany, I'm like, you guys can come over later when the party's done. I just need to go home. I probably just need to lay down. So I drive home, and remember, no one's home because my whole family's out of town. And so I get home, and the first thing I do is I run to the bathroom, and I just am throwing up everywhere. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever. And so I go and lay on the couch after I've thrown up all over my bathroom, and I was like, oh, I feel better. I think it was just maybe I felt weird for a second, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom. And so I run to the bathroom, and I'm going to the bathroom for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm like, this is the worst thing ever. And so this happens for an hour to 2 hours, guys. Within every 5 minutes, I'm running to the bathroom. I'm throwing up, all this stuff. So finally, Brittany and Haley get back to my house, and they're watching a movie, and they're taking care of me, and I'm in and out of sleep. I feel I'm past, someone knocked me out or something. I wake up, and everything's fuzzy and hazy. But I remember it's 1 a.m., and I wake up, and I'm I need to throw up so bad again. So I run to my bathroom, and my friend Haley is on the ground, on her knees, and she's puking in my toilet. And I'm I don't know what else to do. So I just open my shower curtain, and I just puke everywhere in my shower. And Haley and I did this the entire night, and we got the worst food poisoning ever from Chipotle. And you know what? I've never eaten at Chipotle since then because it's the worst place in the whole world, okay? The devil lives there, okay? Chipotle is his home, and he lives there, okay? I don't know, do any of you guys like Chipotle? Yeah, you're terrible. But I just actually found out the other day that there was this epidemic a couple years ago with their lettuce that all these people are getting food poisoning, so maybe that was when I got it. But anyways, Haley and I had food poisoning, awful for 2 days, and we were throwing up everywhere. And my family came home and was like, why does our house smell so bad? And I was like, sorry, Chipotle. And I've never eaten there since. But I don't know about you guys, but I've had lots of bad experiences with food, like getting the worst stomach aches. Has anybody like eaten so much that they get the worst stomach ache of their life? Right? Potato what? Potato skins. You eat too many and you got sick on your birthday. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I know every year on Thanksgiving, I feel like I eat way too much. Is anybody in the same place? And you get like the worst stomach ache ever. It's like a food hangover. And I get so sick after Thanksgiving, but it's so good, right? Everything, I don't know what your guys' favorite foods are, but like my mom makes the best bread in the entire world. It's so good. And like the yams and the sweet potatoes and the turkey and the stuffing. Are you guys getting excited for Thanksgiving now that I'm talking about it? But I hate that stomach ache that I get after Thanksgiving because, boys, that stomach ache I get after Thanksgiving is like the worst feeling ever. And I know that you guys can relate because we eat so much because it's like all right there, right? And we're like, I need to stuff my face with all this food right now because it's going to be gone. And so we eat it all and then we lay on our couch the whole rest of the day and we're just like stuffed and we hurt and we don't want to ever do it again. But then we wake up on Friday and what do we remember? There's leftovers, right? Yeah. Thanksgiving is the only day that I will eat leftovers. I have this weird thing, and I can't eat leftovers from anything. I hate, like, re-microwaving something. I feel like that's wrong for some reason. Like, you shouldn't do that. But Thanksgiving, I eat the leftovers. And I feel like it's so funny because we stuff ourselves. We get this worst stomach ache ever. We're, like, laying on our couch. I've cried a few years after Thanksgiving dinner because my stomach hurts so bad. And then the next morning we wake up and we're like, yeah, leftovers of the same food. I'm going to eat it all over again, right? We're crazy. And maybe you're like, Alexis, why are you talking about food so much and stuffing ourselves? Because I'm sorry if I'm making you guys hungry right now. I'm making myself hungry. But I think we do the same thing with things in our lives. We want that feeling of being satisfied. We want that feeling, that feeling that food brings when we get satisfied because we're so hungry and so we want to be full, so we fill ourselves. And then a lot of times we end up feeling like in pain after we eat too much. And I think there's a lot of things in our life that we use to fill ourselves because we all have the desire to be satisfied. We all have the desire to be fulfilled by something. And so we try and stuff ourselves with all these things in the world and we try and fill ourselves with all these things to get that feeling of satisfaction, but we never get it. And instead we just get a stomach ache or instead we just feel terrible or we feel crappy. But then the next day we wake up and we do it all over again. And maybe you're like, Alexis, I don't understand. What are you talking about? Well, one example that I have for you guys, it's a really good example and something I feel like we all probably struggle with is I think a lot of us use social media to fill ourselves. We use social media to satisfy us. We think, hey, if I can post a good picture of myself and I get lots of likes or people comment and tell me how great I look, or if I can post a picture of what this thing that I just did and how cool I am, if people can like that enough, then I'll be satisfied. But then we end up looking at Instagram and we start scrolling through and we see our friends, that girl that just always looks perfect and is so pretty, and we're like, how come she's always prettier than me? And how come she always looks that way? Or that guy that's always has all these friends that are girls and he seems like all the girls like him and he's so cool and he's good at all the sports. And it's like, why is he like that? Why am I not like that? Or maybe you see your friend's family doing all this fun stuff and you're like, why are they doing all this fun stuff? My family never does anything. And then we never get enough likes to be satisfied. We always think we could get more likes, or we wonder why this picture got more likes than this one, or how come I didn't get enough comments. And we end up spending all this time on social media, and I don't know about you, but there's been times where I've had to stop and I've been like, I feel like crap right now because I'm not being satisfied by this thing. And yet we do this so often and then we set our phone down, and a lot of times in reality we go to sleep and we wake up in the morning and what's the first thing we look at? Our social media, we go right back to that same thing because we desire to be filled by that thing again. And there's a lot of other things like this that we use to fill ourselves. Some of those things might be video games for you. Maybe you use that to fill yourself and you feel like if I finally hit this level or if I finally win this game, I'm going to be satisfied. Or maybe it's Netflix or watching TV. You're like, hey, if I watch enough shows or if I finish this whole series or if I get to spend this much time in front of the TV, I'm going to be satisfied. Or maybe it's money. If I get this much money, if I can buy this thing, if I can have this, I'll be satisfied. Or maybe it's putting someone else down. Maybe it's gossip. Maybe it's, hey, if I can be better than this person or if I can make this person look bad, then I'll be satisfied. And we look for all these things to satisfy us because we all have that desire to be filled. But guys, there's only one thing in this whole entire world that can fill us and can satisfy us and fill us fully, and that's Jesus Christ. But guys, we're never going to be able to be fully satisfied in Christ until we have a relationship with him and until we are truly thankful for the things that he does in our life. And that's the first thing I want you guys to understand, and you can write it down like this, that we will never truly be satisfied unless we are truly thankful. And you can even write after that, it's not on there, but you can even write truly thankful in Christ. Because guys, God is the only thing that is going to fill us. God is the only thing that can take that feeling we have and the desire we have to be fulfilled and satisfied, and he's the only thing that can do that for us. But we will never truly be satisfied, even in our relationship with God, until we understand what it means to be truly thankful. Now, I don't know about you guys, but on Thanksgiving every year, my family does this tradition, and I bet you all of you guys do it. You go around the table, and your mom says, all right, everybody say something you're thankful for, right? How many of you guys do that? Everybody, right? Well, we all do this every year, or most of us, and it takes about 5 to 10 minutes, right, depending on how big your family is. And we go around and we say something we're thankful for. And then once we get to the end, we're like, great, everyone is thankful. And we check the box, and then we forget to be thankful the whole rest of the year. That one day, we put so much emphasis on thankfulness, and we're always like, oh, I'm so thankful for this. I bet you'll see a million posts on Instagram. So thankful for my family, so thankful for my dog, so thankful for my food, all of this stuff, but you'll never see that the rest of the year. And that's why I titled this message today, The Other 364, because there's 364 more days in the year than just that one that we're thankful for. And so today, when I was preparing for this message, I was thinking, why is it so hard for us to be thankful? How come 364 days of the year, it's harder to be thankful, and on Thanksgiving, it's like the easiest thing to do? Why is that? And so today I want to go through three things that I think stand in the way of us being thankful those other 364 days. And the first one I want you guys to write down is that I think that the thing that stands in the way of us being thankful is when we are blind to blessings. When we are blind to blessings. Now, maybe you know some things in your life. If I were to say, what are you thankful for right now? You would think about those things in your life and you'd be like, yeah, I'm thankful for this and my family and food and my clothes and my school and my friends. You would have a few things that we're thankful for. But I think on a day-to-day basis, we are blinded to all the things that we are blessed with by God. In fact, I was even when I was driving here to church tonight, I was on the freeway and I looked to the left and the sky was like so pretty tonight. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but I was like, oh my gosh. And I like took a picture. Don't tell the cops if you know any cops, okay? I took a picture while I was driving. I probably shouldn't have done that. But I took a picture because I was like, that's so pretty. But guys, we have beautiful sunsets and we have beautiful sunrises that happen every day. And you know what? I don't think I've ever said thank you to God for giving us sunsets, for letting us see the sunset and it be that beautiful every single night, and it never looked the same. It never looks the same. And there's so many blessings that God gives us that I think we just, every day, we just go about our lives and we almost like we turn off and we're blind to the things that God blesses us with. And that's why I think it stands in the way of us being thankful, is because we don't look for those things. We're not searching for those things to be thankful from God. We get into the routine of our day and we do the same things every day, but have you ever thought to be thankful that you get to go to school? I know that sounds crazy, but think about the kids that never get to go to school. They never get to have an education. They never get to get a job. They never get to make money and provide for a family one day. But so often, we turn off our sensor to being thankful for that. We get blind to the blessing that God gives us of being able to go to school. Or maybe your house. Maybe you're discontent with your house and you're like, hey, it's small, or my friend has a cooler house. But have you ever thought about, wow, what a blessing it is that God has even given you a place to live? There's people in the world who don't have a place to live, who don't have a roof over their head when there's rain and there's hail and there's wind and there's heat. Because we get so focused on doing our own thing. We get so focused on what needs to happen for us and what needs to happen in our day that we become blind to the things that God blesses us with. And that's why I think that it's one of these three things that stands in the way of us being thankful the other 364 days a year, is because we're blind to the things that God blesses us with. The other thing that I think stands in the way of us being thankful is when we want what we don't have. When we want what we don't have. You can even write it under that point if you want, as when we're discontent. When we're discontent with what we've been given. Now, one year, it was my littlest brother's 8th birthday. I think he's 16 now, or 17, I can't remember. But it was his 8th birthday, and I was so excited because I had saved up all my money, and we didn't get allowance back then, so we never got allowance, actually. So it was a rare thing to have money, okay? And I saved up all my money to buy my brother the coolest gift in the entire world. I was so excited. I was like, he's going to think I'm the best sister in the world, and he's going to be so stoked. This is the best birthday present ever, okay? I bought him Alvin and the Chipmunks, the movie, all right? I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but it's a really good one. And I was so excited to give him Alvin and the Chipmunks. And so his birthday came June 5th. I'm like, this is the day. I got Alvin and the Chipmunks. I wrapped it. I put a cute little bow on it. And I gave it to my brother, who's turning 8. And I was like, here you go. This is going to be the best gift you get all year, okay? I was so excited. And he opens his gift, and he looks at the front of it for a second, and then he turns it over. And on the back, there was these little ads for, like, other movies that had come out. And Nim's Island was on there. How many of you guys saw that movie? That's a classic, right? Nim's Island. It was on the back, and he looks at the case, and he looks at the back of the case, and there's the little thing for Nim's Island. And he goes, oh, man, I wish you would have got me that movie. And then he sets it down, and he starts opening his other gifts. Guys, I spent all my money on this movie, all right? I think it was like $14.99, okay? That's a lot of money. And I was so upset because my brother was like, he didn't say thank you or he was stoked. He just said, I wish you would have got me that instead. And I was like, it crushed me. And I was so sad. But the reason I told you guys that is because I think we do that a lot of times with God. He gives us all of these crazy blessings like I just talked about, and all these crazy gifts and all these amazing things in our life. And we look at them and we go, yeah, that's sweet, but I wish you would have got me this. Or I wish you would have done this for me. Or it would have been better if it looked like this. And we reject the things that God gives us by being discontent. We want things that we don't have. Every time you think about something someone else has and you're jealous that they have it, you're basically being ungrateful for the things that you've been given. And guys, I know that's hard because I do it all the time. I see people all the time and I'm like, why do they have hair that looks that nice, right? Why do they have a cool car like that? How come their parents let them do this? How come their friend is this cool or whatever? I have cool friends, but. And we get discontent, and all we're telling God is, hey, thanks, but no thanks. And we're wishing that we had other things. And I think that's why it gets in the way of us having thankfulness in our heart the rest of the year. Because we're so focused on the things that we don't have, and we're so focused on what we haven't been given. And so I think we need to take a look at the things in our life. We need to turn off our blindness to the things that we're being blessed with. And we need to be thankful for the things that we do have instead of wanting the things that we don't have. And the last thing that I think stands in the way of us being thankful for the other 364 days of the year is when we think we are worthless. When we think we are worthless. Now maybe you're like, what does that have to do with me being thankful? Well, guys, God cares so much about you, each and every single one of you, and he created you to be exactly who he wants you to be. In fact, there's a verse in the Bible that says, I knit you together when you were in your mother's womb. Meaning he put you together exactly who he wanted you to be before you were even here. He said, this is who I want this person to be, and I'm going to create them to be like this, and this is perfect to me, and this is what I want them to be. And he cares so much about us, and he thinks that we are worth so much to him. But if we don't understand our worth in Jesus, if we don't understand how much he values us, we're never going to truly be able to be thankful. Because if we're not looking for those blessings in our life, and if we're wishing for things we don't have, and when we don't understand our value in Christ, and we don't understand how much we are worth to him, we're never truly going to be able to be thankful. And guys, like I said earlier, God is the only thing that can fill us. God is the only thing that can satisfy us. But if we never learn a life of thankfulness, if we never learn what it means to be thankful to God, if we let these three things stand in the way of us giving God thanks the rest of the year, then we're not going to feel that satisfaction. We're not going to be able to be fulfilled. And I think so often when we talk to God, we ask him for things. When we sit down and we go to pray to God, what we're doing most of the time is we're asking him for something. Hey, God, can you please heal me? Or, hey, God, can I please have this? Or, hey, God, can you do this for me? Or, hey, God, can you please make this person like me? Or, hey, God, can you please let me get this spot on the team? Or, hey, God, can you please... And we ask all these questions, which are good. God wants us to talk to him, and he wants us to ask him for things. But I think so often we spend those 364 days of the year asking God for things and wanting things from him instead of spending that time thanking God for the things that he's blessed us with. And guys, when we choose to have a heart of thankfulness to God, and we aren't blind to the blessings in our life, and when we are grateful for the things we have, not what we don't have, and when we understand our worth in Jesus Christ, that's when we can be fully fulfilled, and that's when we can be satisfied. And we can get rid of that feeling of wanting to search for other things to fill that, and we can be filled by Jesus Christ. And so my challenge for you guys this week is that every day this week, I want you guys to choose one or two things. And if you can think of more things, then great, do it. And on the back, I even put a little fill in the blanks so you can. It's super easy. You can fill in the things you're thankful for. But I want you guys to think of 2 or 3 things that you're thankful for this week. And I want you to spend time with God thanking him for those things. And I want you guys to open your eyes and try not to be blind to the blessings that have been in your life. And think about those things that you're grateful that you have, not the things that you don't have. And thank God for how much he values you and the worth that you have in him. And don't let those 3 things stand in the way of you being fulfilled by Christ the rest of this year, the other 364 days of the year that we don't call Thanksgiving. So I encourage you guys to do that this week, to spend time thanking God for the things in your life that you're thankful for, instead of spending all of your time asking for things that God can give you. Will you guys pray with me? Hey, God, I thank you so much for this time that we're here. I thank you for just every student in this room again, God. I pray that you would just teach us this week what it means to be thankful, God. I thank you so much for everything you've given us and all the blessings we have in our life, and I pray that you would take off those blinders, that you would help us to see those things. I pray you'd teach us just how lucky we are to have the things we have, and I thank you so much for just how much you value us and how much we're worth to you, and I just pray that you'd help us to understand that and that we wouldn't let it stand in the way of us being thankful to you, God, the whole rest of the year. And God, we love you so much. In your name I pray. Amen.